My surgeon wife operated on her ex while I bled in the hallway outside Trauma 2. Ryan Bell had one hand wrapped around her wrist as they rolled him past me, and he still had enough strength to smile through his oxygen mask. Tell your husband to stop looking so tragic. Elena, that I'm the one who actually needs you. Elena did not look at the blood soaking through my shirt. She only said, to the nurse, put Nathan in yellow. He can wait. I pressed my thumb against the cut under my ribs and used my other hand to start recording. The nurse hesitated. Dear Marlowe, he's actively bleeding. He's conscious. Elena snapped. Ryan has internal trauma. Prep or 3. Ryan's stretcher disappeared through the double doors. Elena followed him without turning back. That was the moment my marriage ended. Not when I found the late night messages. Not when Ryan started showing up at my dinner table and calling my wife Ellie like I was a guest in my own house. Not even when Elena told me 3 weeks ago that Ryan was fragile and I needed to stop making him feel unwelcome. It ended under the white lights of Street Gabriel's emergency hall with my blood dripping onto the floor while my wife chose a man who had spent months trying to take my place. I did not shout. I did not beg. I zoomed in on Elena's back as she pushed through the surgical doors. Then I sent the video to 3 people. First, MY, attorney. Second, the Independent, trustee of the Ward Medical Foundation. Third, Dr. Marcus Hole, the only ER physician in that hospital who owed Elena nothing. A junior nurse crouched beside me with gauze. Her badge said, Priya, sir, that I'm sorry. She whispered, let me get someone. Don't be sorry. I said, just chart exactly what happened. Her eyes flicked toward the operating doors. Exactly. I repeated. She nodded once. 5 minutes later, Marcus Holt came down the hallway with 2 residents in a wheelchair. Nathan, his jaw tightened when he saw me. Who triaged you? Your chief of surgery. His eyes went flat. He did not ask another question in the hallway. He took me into exam 4. Cut away my shirt. Ordered scans. Blood work. Stitches. And a full trauma note. He spoke like a doctor, not like a friend. Deep laceration point 2. Cracked ribs. Blood loss. Moderate. And organ rupture. Thank God. Chart it. Clean. I always do. Preserve the hallway. Footage. He paused. Then he said, already requested. That was why Marcus was one of the few people I trusted at St. Gabriel's. He understood the difference between loyalty and evidence. At 2:17 a.m., Elena finally came out of surgery. I saw her reflection in the dark glass before she saw me. Her hair was tucked under a surgical cap. Her scrub sleeves were stained. Her face was tired, but not broken. Ryan had survived. That was written all over her. She walked into my exam room like she expected me to be grateful. Nathan, Ryan, almost died. I looked at the bandage wrapped around my side. I noticed you were busy. Her mouth tightened. Don't do that. Do what? Make this about us. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, because it was perfect. My blood was on the floor. You were stable. You didn't. Check. I was in a life or death situation. His life. She pulled off her cap and threw it onto the counter. He was in the car because he came to warn me about you. That made me look at her. What? He said you threatened to cut him off from the research grant. He was upset. He lost control near the service entrance. He told you that from the stretcher. He told me before the crash. I reached for my phone. Nathan, I opened my banking app. Her voice sharpened. What are you doing? Stopping the thing he was so upset about. I froze the discretionary research transfer scheduled for 6 a.m. Then I removed Elena's secondary authorization from the Ward Foundation Emergency Fund. A notification appeared immediately. Transfer canceled. Elena's phone buzzed. In her scrub pocket. She pulled it out, read the alert, and looked at me as if I had slapped her. You can't do that. I just did. That grant pays for 3. Patient on Ryan's trial. No by T-Pays. For Ryan's salary. Ryan's hotel suite. During conferences. And the private. Apartment you said was for visiting. Fellows. Her expression changed by a fraction. Not guilt. Calculation. Nathan, this is not the time. That is what you said while I bled outside your. Ore. She took a step closer. You are hurt. You're angry. I understand that. But if you touch hospital funding because of jealousy, I will never forgive you. There it was. Jealousy, not abandonment, not negligence, not betrayal, jealousy. I opened my messages and forwarded the recording to Mara, Chun.my divorce attorney, with one line. File at dawn. Elena saw the name. On my screen, her hand stopped halfway. Toward mine. Why are you texting Mara? Because she has the papers. For the first time that night, Elena looked directly at me. You're being dramatic. No, you're not divorcing me because I saved a patient. I'm divorcing you because you left your husband bleeding in a hall and then called it medicine. Her eyes hardened. Ryan was my patient, and I was your husband. She looked away. First, that small movement told me more than any confession could have. At 4:43 a.m., Mara arrived at the hospital. K, in a gray coat, carrying a black folder, and 2 paper cups of coffee. My stitches pulled when I sat down. You should be in bed, she said. I was in a hallway. This is an improvement. Mara did not smile. She opened the folder. Divorce petition. Emergency motion to preserve marital assets. Notice of revocation for spousal financial. Authority Foundation conflict review. Request. Complaint draft for hospital. Ethics and Licensing Board. We can file the petition when the courthouse opens. The preservation notices can go out now. I signed the first page, then the second, then the third. My signature. Looked steady by the time dawn touched. The hospital windows. Elena was standing at the caffeine entrance in clean scrubs that hold her phone. Her eyes moved from me to Mara, then to the papers. Nathan, she said slowly. Come home. Well talk. I capped the pen. No, you don't make decisions like this. After trauma, I made it while I was still bleeding. Mara gathered the signed documents and slid one envelope across the table. Elena Marlowe, that you are formally notified that Mr. Ward is initiating divorce proceedings. Any communication regarding assets. Shared property. Or foundation-related matters should go through counsel. Elena stared at the envelope. Her fingers did not touch it. You brought a lawyer to the hospital. No, I said you brought your ex into my marriage. I brought a lawyer to end it. Behind her, Ryan's mother came down the hallway crying softly into a tissue. Dear Marlowe, Ryan is asking for you. Elena turned automatically. That reflex was my final answer. I stood, point one hand, pressed carefully against my bandaged side and walked past her. She reached for my sleeve. I stepped out of reach. Her hand closed on air. At 6:02 a.m., my first real Counter-Strike landed. Elena's black hospital card declined at the pharmacy kiosk. The screen flashed red. Authorization revoked. She looked at the machine, then at me across the hall. I did not explain. I did not wait. My phone buzzed with a message from Mara. Filed. And for the first time since Ryan, Belle came back into our lives. Elena, Marlowe had no idea what I would do next. Elena did not come home that morning. Ryan needed observation. Ryan needed reassurance. Ryan needed the woman who had once promised me she would never let her past sit at our table. Oh, I went home alone. The house felt too clean, too expensive. Too carefully arranged, around a marriage that had been hollowed out from the inside. Ryan's coat was still hanging by the mudroom door. Not mine. Is dark wool, Italian. Paid for by the temporary patient liaison stipend. Elena said he needed until his consulting contract cleared. I took it off the hook. Folded it once. And placed it in a cardboard box. Then I walked through the house and removed every item that did not belong to me. Elena. Or the marriage we had actually built. Ryan's coffee mug from the kitchen cabinet. Ryan's spare charger from the guest room. Ryan's running shoes from beside my garage fridge. Ryan's framed photo from Elena's study. That one made me pause. It was not an old photo. It was from last month. Elena and Ryan stood together at a medical conference in Boston. His arm was around her waist. Her head leaned slightly toward his shoulder. Behind them was the banner for the Ward Foundation Surgical Innovation Dinner. My foundation, MY Wiped out his hand. I photographed the frame and added it to the evidence folder Mara had set up. Then I boxed it at 9:30 a.m. I called the locksmith at 10:15. I canceled Ryan's gate access at 10:40. I removed Elena's authority to add guests to the property system. At 11:05, I sent a written notice to the security company. No entry for Ryan Bell under any circumstance. If Dr. Elena Marlowe objects document and call Mr. Ward's counsel. Then I sat at the kitchen island and opened the shared account. The list was ugly. Private wine club. Subscription. Hotel char. Luxury. Medical conference upgrade. Men's watch. 3 transfers labeled urgent. Repayment. All tied to Ryan. All approved by Elena. All drawn from the household account I funded because Elena once told me surgeons should not have to think about money after saving lives all day. I printed everything. At noon, Elena finally called. I let it ring twice. Then I answered. You changed the gate code. She said, yes, that I'm standing outside our house. My house. Silence. Then a low, dangerous breath. Nathan, don't start. I already finished. This is my marital home. Your name is not on the date. You refused when I asked. Remember that you said property paperwork felt unromantic. That was before you weaponized it. No, that was before you moved Ryan into the guest room while I was in Singapore and called it temporary recovery support. He had nowhere safe to go. He had 2 parents, a condo downtown, and an ex-wife in Denver. Elena's voice sharpened. You investigated him? I paid his bills. That gave me a good view. She lowered her voice. Open the gate. No, I need clothes. I packed a bag for you. Security will bring it out. You packed my bag. I packed Ryan's too. A second voice came through the phone. Weak. Theatrical. Familiar. Nate. Man. This is humiliating. Elena just saved my life. I smiled without warmth. He sounds strong enough to call a rideshare. Elena snapped. Do not talk to him like that. There it is. What? You still think I'm competing with him? You are acting like a jealous husband. No, a jealous husband asks why his wife loves another man. I'm asking why another man has my money. My house access. My donor badge. My seat at your family table. And my wife's emergency priority while I bleed. On tile, Ryan muttered something. Elena covered the phone. But not fast enough. I heard him say he's always been dramatic. Just let him cool down. I opened the security app and watched them. On the gate camera, Elena stood beside Ryan's wheelchair. Her hand rested on his shoulder. A hospital bracelet still circled his wrist. A blanket covered his lap. He looked pale enough to inspire sympathy from anyone who had not seen him smirk through an oxygen mask. I saved the footage. Elena, I said, tell Ryan to remove his hand from your thigh before you call me jealous again. On camera. Her body stiffened. Ryan's hand withdrew. She looked up at the camera. Good. Now she knew I was watching. Nathan. Open the gate. She said that we can discuss boundaries inside. No, we discuss terms through attorneys. We are married. Not for long. You're going to destroy 10 years over one emergency. I stood and walked to the hallway where our wedding photo hung in it. Elena wore silk and sunlight. I looked like a man who believed promises had weight. One emergency. I said. The emergency was just the first time you couldn't hide. The choice. Her voice softened. That used to be her most effective weapon. Nate, please, was scared. Ryan almost died. He was part of my life before you, and I was part of your life yesterday. She did not answer. I took the wedding photo off the wall, the rectangle behind. It was slightly darker than the paint. Around it, that was what marriage left. When removed, a mark, not a home. I'm sending security now. I said, Nathan. If you embarrass me in front of staff, you embarrass me in front of an emergency department. I am warning you. Know, Elena, that you are adjusting to the fact that warnings no longer work. I ended the call. 3 minutes later. Security rolled 2 suitcases to the gate. Point 1, black. Point 1, gray. Ryan reached for the gray suitcase and tried the old gate code anyway. Denied. He tried again. Denied. His mouth tightened. Elena looked at the keypad, then at the camera. For the first time, I saw it. Not regret, fear, not of losing me, of losing access. My phone buzzed. A text from her mother, Cynthia Marlowe. Open the gate and stop being cruel. Elena is exhausted. Ryan is injured. This is not how family behaves. I responded with one image. Ryan's hand on Elena's thigh, outside my gate. Then I added family does not bring an ex to the marital home after leaving a husband bleeding in a hospital hallway. Cynthia did not reply. At 2:20 p.m., Elena tried to use the shared card at the hotel across from St. Gabriel's declined. At 2:34, she tried the platinum card I had given her for household expenses. Declined. At 24:41, Ryan tried the emergency foundation card at the same hotel. Flagged. At 2:43, the foundation's finance director called me. Mr. Ward Dr. Marlowe's guest is attempting to charge a suite to the trauma outreach account. Decline and document already. Done. He is arguing with the front desk. Good. Should I speak with Dr. Marlowe? No. Send everything tomorrow. By evening, the first small price had landed. Ryan belled at the man Elena said had nowhere safe to go, was sitting in a public hotel lobby with a hospital blanket over his shoulders because the suite he expected me to fund no longer open for him. Elena called again at 7:16 p.m. This time, she did not sound angry. She sounded controlled. That was worse. Nathan Ryan is humiliated. Then he should stop trying to spend my money. He is recovering from surgery. He recovered enough to grab your thigh on camera. You're disgusting. Ay maquieret. She inhaled. My father wants us at dinner. Tomorrow, just us adults. No lawyers. No. Then he will come to you. He can speak to counsel. 2. Nathan, you are making enemies out of my entire family. Your family made me an ATM with a pulse. You don't mean that. I do. Another pause. Then she said the sentence that saved me months of guilt. If you loved me, you would not punish a patient to hurt me. I looked at the hospital. Discharge papers Marcus had sent over. Patient Nathan Ward. Delayed evaluation. After non-standard triage intervention. I said, you punish your husband to save your ex. Then I hung up at 9 o'clock p.m. A courier arrived at the hotel. Mara had served Elena with the first formal notice preservation of assets, demand to cease use of marital funds for Ryan Bell and notice of pending ethics, complaint. Elena signed for it in the lobby because she could not get a room. Upstairs, the hotel camera caught Ryan leaning over her shoulder to read the papers. It also caught him stepping back. First, not holding her, not protecting her, stepping back. That was a first. Crack in the love story she had chosen. Over me. At 11:38 p.m. My doorbell rang. I checked the camera. Elena stood outside alone this time. No suitcase, no. Ryan, just my wife, still wearing the necklace I gave her after her first solo. Transplant surgery. She looked at the camera and whispered, Nate, please let me in. I watched her for 10 seconds. Then I turned off the monitor because the man who would have opened that door had been left bleeding in a hallway and I was not him anymore. By morning, Elena had changed strategies. She stopped calling me cruel and started calling me unstable. That was smarter. A cruel husband was a private problem. An unstable donor was a professional threat. At 8:12 a.m., Mara forwarded me an email from Elena's hospital account. Subject: concern regarding donor. Conduct: Dr. Elena Marlowe had written to Street Gabriel's executive board, claiming I was using foundation funds to retaliate against a patient because of marital distress. She described Ryan as a vulnerable surgical patient. She described herself as a physician placed in an impossible position. She described me as emotionally volatile. She did not mention the hallway. She did not mention the altered triage. She did not mention the hotel suite, the guest house access, the credit cards, the private transfers, or the fact that Ryan Bell had been sleeping in my home while I was out of town. Mara called 2 minutes later. She's building a record. So do we already are, but she moved fast. She always does when she thinks she's the smartest person in the room. Mara's voice cooled. Nathan, listen carefully. Do not respond. Emotionally, do not contact hospital. Leadership, directly unless I clear the language. Do not argue with her family. Do not threaten Ryan. Every word now either helps you or helps them. I know. Mara, I built compliance systems for hospital networks for 7 years. Evidence. First, emotion never. She exhaled. Good. Then let's bury them properly. By noon, we were in her office, not a glass tower. Office. Mara hated that kind of performance. Her firm occupied the third floor of a converted brick building with thick doors, quiet carpets, and conference rooms that smelled faintly of paper and coffee. On the table between us sat 8 folders hallway video. Triage record financial transfers. Property access marital assets. Foundation authority Ryan Bell. Background Elena Communications Mara. Tap the first folder Marcus preserved. The footage, yes, he is willing to sign a statement. He already did. She lifted her brows. I slid over a printed copy Marcus. Holt's statement was short and clean at approximately 2,341. Mr. Nathan Ward was observed in the emergency department. Hallway with active bleeding from a torso wound. Elena Marlowe instructed staff to classify him as yellow despite visible blood loss and without examining him personally. I later assumed care and documented injuries requiring immediate treatment. Mara read it twice. Good man. He dislikes messy charts. He may save Your case. He saved more than that. Next came Priya's statement. Then the nurses. Note. Then my recording. Then the gate. Footage. Then the card declines. Then the hotel attempt. Then the transfers. Mara stopped at the financial folder. $382,000. Over 14 months to Ryan. Ryan's LLC and vendors tied to him. Elena approved all of it. Mostly some used her. Lookin' to use mine. She looked up. I did not authorize them. Her pen stopped. Moving. That changes the scale. I thought it might. Mara pulled the two transactions aside. Forgery possibly, or unauthorized access. Either way, this goes beyond divorce. I know. She leaned back. You understand what this means? If Ryan used your credentials and Elena helped him or ignored it, the hospital may face a conflict investigation. The foundation can suspend funding and law. Enforcement may take interest. I'm not asking you to be gentle. I wasn't planning to be. At 20 o'clock p.m., we signed the preservation letters. One to ST. Gabriel's .1 to the hospital's risk. Management office .1 to the state. Medical board complaint intake .1 to the Ward Foundation Audit Committee .1 to Ryan Bell. His letter was my favorite because it was the shortest. Mr. Bell, you are directed to preserve all records.communications.devices, financial documents.access credentials, messages and materials related to DR. Elena Marlo Nadan Ward. Foundation funds.st. Gabriel's Medical Center and any transaction conducted under Mr. Ward's name or authority do not destroyed, alter, delete, transfer, concealed, or misrepresent evidence. Mara signed it with a black pen. Courier. Today. Good. Then she slid the divorce petition across the table. I filed yesterday. Service completed at the hotel. Elena has 21 days to respond. Given the asset issues that we can seek. Temporary orders. Do it. House access. Restricted vehicles. The Range Rover is. Mine. The Porsche is leased through the household account. She can keep her own car. Ryan. He has no property rights. Remove him from everything. Mara made notes and communication. Attorney only. She will not respect that. I know Elena is used to walking into operating rooms and being obeyed. Losing access will make her escalate. Let her. Mara looked at me carefully. You sound calm. I am. You were bleeding 2 nights ago and I learned something useful. What? My wife can watch me bleed and still ask me to. Be considerate. Mara's expression hardened. Then we make sure she never gets to ask again. At 4:30 p.m., the courier served Ryan at a short-term recovery facility near the hospital. He signed with his left hand, the dramatic patient. At 4:47, he texted me from a number I had blocked months ago. You're insane. Elena will never forgive you for attacking a man she saved. I screenshotted it. Then another message came. You were always jealous because you knew she loved me. First, screenshot then. Maybe if you were more of a man, she wouldn't need me around. Screenshot, then back off before. People learn what really happened before the crash. That one mattered. I forwarded it to Mara. She replied. Do not engage. Also, excellent. At 5:12 p.m., Elena called from a restricted number. I answered and said nothing. Nathan, did you send Ryan a legal threat while he's recovering? Silence. This is harassment. Silence. You are scaring him. I looked at Ryan's last text on my screen. Back off before people learn what really happened before the crash. No, I said he is trying to scare me. What? You should ask him what happened before the crash. A beat. Then she said, Do not twist this. I'm not twisting anything. I'm preserving it. You're going to ruin him. He helped. He almost died. And I almost became the convenient villain in your email to the board. Her breath caught. Good. She knew exactly which email that was confidential. It was defamatory. It was protective of whom she did not answer. I let the silence sit until she filled it. Ryan said you threatened him. I canceled payments after I was left bleeding. He said before that he lied. You expect me to believe you over a man who nearly died trying to help me? No, I expect your lawyer to explain discovery. Her voice dropped. You're enjoying this. No, Elena, I enjoy being married. This is cleanup. She made a sound like I had hit something under the armor. Nathan.do. Not call me again. Nate, please. I ended the call and forwarded the recording to Mara at 6:00 p.m. The first institutional response arrived. Gabriel's risk management acknowledged. Receipt of the preservation demand. At 68. The Ward Foundation Audit Committee froze all discretionary funds tied to Elena's department pending review. At 6:22. Ryan texted Elena. I knew because he accidentally sent it to the old group thread he had created for conference. Logistics months ago. Ellie. Tell him to stop. The foundation freeze could expose the bridge transfers. He deleted it 11 seconds later. Not fast enough. I stared at the message. Bridge transfers. Mara called before I could call her. Tell me, you saw that. I saw it. Do you know what bridge transfers means? I have a guess. Don't guess. We subpoena. At 7:40 p.m., Elena sent one final message through the group thread. Ryan.do not right. Anything else? Too late. The third folder on Mara's table had just become a blade, and for the first time, Ryan Bell had cut himself with it. Elena's father did not like being ignored. Gerald Marlowe had built his life on the belief that every room had a head seat and that he belonged in it. He was not a surgeon, but he spoke about medicine as if hospitals were family estates and patients were tenants. At 10:00 a.m., he sent me a message. Family dinner. Tonight, 7. You will attend. Bring no attorney. This nonsense ends. I replied, N.O. He called. I did not answer. He sent another message. You owe my daughter respect. I typed back. I gave her a decade. She gave my place. To Ryan, 3 dots appeared. Disappeared, it appeared again. Then 7. Or I come to your house. I forwarded it. To Mara, she responded. Attend only if you want a controlled scene where a record or take a witness nearby. Do not drink. I thought about it for 30 seconds. Then I texted Gerald. 7:01 hour. Ryan not present. His reply came fast. Of course, that was how I knew Ryan would be there. The Marlowe house sat behind stone pillars and old money. Landscaping. Though everyone in the family knew Elena's income and my donations had quietly paid for most of the recent renovations. When I arrived, Gerald opened the door himself. His smile was stiff. You look better. No, thanks to your daughter. His jaw moved, but he stepped aside. Cynthia stood in the foyer with red eyes and pearls. Elena stood near the dining room. Entrance in a cream sweater, arms folded. Tightly, she looked thinner than she had. 2 days ago, Ryan sat in my chair. Not just any chair. My chair at the Marlowe dining table, the one Gerald had assigned me years ago after announcing, "Your family now." Ryan wore a soft gray cardigan and a bandage visible at his collar, a performance of fragility. He looked up and gave me a careful smile. Nate, I didn't know Elena, invited you Elena's eyes shut briefly. Gerald said, Ryan needed support. I looked at Elena. You agreed to this. He was discharged. She said quietly, he shouldn't be alone. And my condition. You refuse help. I refuse your help. Ryan's smile thinned. Cynthia stepped forward. Nathan, please. Sit down. We all need to talk like adults. Where? She blinked. Where should? Isit Cynthia. My usual chair appears. Occupied. Ryan started to rise slowly. One hand pressed to his side. No, no, T. Said, I can move. I didn't realize there were assigned seats. I held his gaze. You realized? Elena snupped. Enough. I turned to her. You left me bleeding in a hallway. 2 days later, he is in my chair, at your family table. Be careful with the word enough. Gerald slammed his palm on the sideboard. You will not speak to my daughter like that in my house. Your house? His eyes narrowed. I took one envelope from my coat and laid it on the entry table. What is that? He demanded. Copy of the loan modification. Cynthia's face changed first. She knew. Gerald reached for the envelope, opened it, and pulled out the documents. The Marlowe house renovation loan had been quietly guaranteed by me 3 years ago when Gerald's investments went bad and Elena begged me not to embarrass her parents. I had done it privately. No speeches, no reminders, and no interest. Just a signature. Gerald read the highlighted clause. His mouth tightened. You would bring money into a family matter. No, you brought Ryan into my marriage. I brought paperwork into your house. Elena stepped toward me. Nathan, don't. What? Remind your father that the kitchen he serves Ryan dinner in is standing partly because I guaranteed his loan. Cynthia whispered. Gerald. Ryan leaned back carefully. He had stopped, pretending to rise. I looked at him. You look comfortable. He lifted his chin. Maybe if you had been more present for Elena, she wouldn't need everyone else to hold her up. That was the first honest thing he had said all night. Not true. Honest. He wanted my chair. My. Rolled at my money. My wife's public. Loyalty. And he wanted me to fight emotionally so he could look wounded. I did not give him that. I pulled out my phone and opened the group chat named Marlowe family. Gerald. Cynthia. Elena. Elena's brother Paul .2, aunts .3. Cousins. The people who had spent 2 days calling me cruel. I uploaded 3 items. The hallway clip, the gate clip, the hotel charge declined with Ryan's name attached to the foundation account. Then I wrote, since this has become a family matter, here are the facts your daughter omitted. Phone started buzzing around the room. Cynthia grabbed hers. Gerald's face darkened as the video played. Elena lunged toward me. Take that down. It's already sent. You had no right. You gave them a story. I gave them evidence. Ryan's phone buzzed, too. He looked down. His expression shifted. Not fear. Exactly. Exposure. Cynthia covered her mouth as the hallway audio filled the dining room. Put Nathan in. Yellow. He can wait. Elena stood frozen. Gerald's hand lowered slowly. The loan. Paper forgotten. Paul's reply came. First in the group. Wait. He was bleeding. Elena to what the hell? Then, Anne-Marie, why was Ryan using Nathan's foundation card, then cousin Beth.is? This real? Elena whispered. You humiliated me in front of my family. No, I corrected a lie in front of your audience. Ryan pushed back his chair. This is abusive. He's trying to isolate. You, Ellie, I turned the phone toward him and tapped another image out his hand. On Elena's thigh at my gate. Say that. Again. His mouth closed. Gerald looked from Ryan to Elena. Is that real? Elena. did not answer fast enough. Cynthia sat down as if her knees had failed. Nathan, she said, voice trembling. We didn't know. I know. Gerald rounded. On Elena, you told me he was punishing a patient. Elena's voice cracked. He is. I shook my head once. No, I am. Ending access. There is a difference. Ryan stood point one hand braced dramatically. On the chair. I don't have to stay and be slandered. Sit down, Gerald said. Ryan froze. For the first time since I entered, Gerald was not looking at me like the problem. He was looking at Ryan like a liability. Ryan noticed. So did Elena. I placed a second envelope on the table. This is notice to terminate my guarantee on the supplemental renovation. Line at the earliest contractual date. Your bank will contact you regarding replacement security. Gerald's face drained of color. You can't just I can. You signed the clause. Cynthia looked at Elena. You said Nathan would never do something like this. Elena's eyes shone. He wouldn't have. I picked up my coat. You're right. The man who loved you wouldn't have. She took a step after me. Nate, wait. I stopped at the doorway. You wanted me here without a lawyer. You got me. Next time you want terms, call. Mara, Ryan spoke behind me. Bitterness, cutting through the wounded act. You think money makes you better than us? I turned back. No evidence does. Then I walked out. My phone buzzed before I reached the driveway. Paul Marlowe dime. Sorry, I didn't know if you need a witness for Ryan staying at the house. Last month, I saw him there. I stared at the message. There it was. The first family witness. The first crack inside. Elena's own wall behind me through the front windows. I saw Ryan standing alone by my empty chair. No one had asked him to sit back down. The next attack came, dressed as peace. Elena sent a message. Through Mara at 8 o'clock a.m. Dr. Marlowe. Request mediation regarding personal matters and asks that Mr. Ward refrain from further public disclosure while the parties work toward a private resolution. Mara forwarded it with one comment. Translation, she wants you quiet before more people ask questions. I replied, offer accepted only if Ryan is excluded and she acknowledges. Eternally communication. Elena refused. Instead, she appeared at his teeth. Gabriel's staff entrance at noon, with Ryan beside her and a hospital administrator named Dennis Vale. No relation to Ryan. But very interested in donor money. Mara and I were already there, not inside the hospital. Across the street in the office of an independent notary and records preservation firm. The meeting had been scheduled for document authentication. I had no intention of letting Elena turn a hospital room into a stage. Dennis looked annoyed when he entered. Mr. Ward, this is unnecessary. That is an interesting opening from a man whose hospital received a preservation demand. He sat. Elena did not. Ryan remained, standing behind her chair like a bodyguard with a fresh surgical scar and borrowed courage. Mara placed a recorder in the center of the table. This meeting is recorded, Ryan said. Of course it is. Mara looked at him. Mr. Bell, you are not a party to the divorce. I'm a party to the accusations. You are a subject to the evidence. His jaw tightened. Elena pulled a document from her folder and slid it toward me. I want this signed today. I did not touch it. Mara did. She read the first page, then gave a short laugh without humor. A mutual apology statement. Elena lifted her chin. This situation has harmed patients' staff, morale, and my professional reputation. Nathan's actions have created a hostile environment. Mara turned one page. I watched Elena's hands. They were steady, surgeon hands. They had held scalpels. Over Ryan while my blood dried in a hallway. Mara read aloud. Mr. Ward acknowledges that his conduct following the emergency involving Mr. Ryan Bell was emotionally driven and not based on professional misconduct by Dr. Marlowe. I looked at Elena. She met my eyes. You want me to say you did nothing wrong? I want you to stop escalating. You want me to lie. I want you to remember who I am. That sentence landed like a scalpel against bone. Who she was. Chief. Surgeon. Golden daughter. Woman. Everyone protected because she saved lives. My wife when convenient. Ryan's shield when it mattered. I leaned back. I remember exactly who you are. Her expression flickered. Ryan stepped in. Nate, be reasonable. You're hurting her. Career. I turned my head slowly. Good. You found the topic you care about. He flushed. Dennis cleared his throat. Mr. Ward, the hospital is concerned about donor instability. The Ward Foundation has historically supported surgical innovation at Street Gabriel's. We would hate for a private conflict to jeopardize public good. Mara slid a separate packet across the table. Then, you'll appreciate this. Dennis opened it. His eyes moved quickly, then more slowly. What is this? Preliminary notice of independent audit. Findings, Mara said. Unauthorized charges. Potential. Credential misuse. And donor account. Access irregularities involving Mr. Bell, Dar Marlowe's department, and 2 accounts. Under Foundation review. Elena reached for the packet. Dennis did not give it to her. Dennis that she said he kept. Reading. Ryan said, this is fake. I opened my laptop, turned it around, and played the hotel lobby footage. Ryan at the front desk. Ryan presenting the Foundation card. Ryan saying, clearly, dear, Marlowe cleared this. The Ward. People always cover it. Elena's face went still. Dennis looked at Ryan. The Ward people always cover it. I repeated. Ryan's lips parted. No answer came. Mara added another page. Also to MR, Ward did not authorize 2 account loginins. Traced to a device registered to Mr. Bell's consulting office. Dennis set the packet down. Elena. What is this? She spoke carefully. Administrative. Confusion. I said. That is what people call theft before lawyers arrive. Ryan slammed his palm on the table. I was trying to keep a trial alive. Mara looked at him by booking a suite. His hand curled into a fist. Elena took it. His arm. Ryan. That one touch said everything. Even here, even now, after. The evidence that she still comforted him. First, I stood. Elena's eyes jumped to me. Where are you going to sign? Something? Hope flashed across her face. Not much enough. I took the apology. Statement. Flipped to the signature. Page. And tore it cleanly in half. Then, I signed the document. Mara handed me a formal complaint to the state medical board against Dr. Elena Marlowe for conflict of interest, failure to examine, espouse patient after direct, involvement in triage classification, misuse of authority. And potential retaliation narrative after patient complaint. Elena's face changed as she read the title. Nathan. I signed the second document. Civil notice against Ryan Bell for unauthorized use of funds and preservation of evidence. Ryan took a step forward. Mara said, careful. He stopped. I signed the third. Demand for St. Gabriel's to produce the unedited hallway footage. Triage logs. Badge. Access records. Or assignment documents. And communications between Elena, Ryan, and administration from the day of the crash. Dennis rubbed his forehead. This is getting out of control. No, I said it was out of control when a bleeding patient was downgraded because The surgeon wanted her ex first. This is control returning. Elena's voice was, "Lo, you are trying to destroy me. I am removing myself from the wreckage you called loyalty. I saved his life. You keep saying that like it gives you the right to ruin mine." She flinched. Ryan sees a moment. He's jealous because he knows what we had. I looked at him for a long second. Then I opened another folder and pulled out a photo. It showed Ryan in my guest room wearing my robe, holding a glass from my kitchen, dated 3 months earlier by the security system. Elena stared at it. Ryan froze. I was told he stayed one weekend. I said. Elena whispered, "You were in Singapore." "Yes, Dot, and you turned my home into a recovery suite for your ex." Dennis stood abruptly. "I should not be here." "No," Mara said. "You should. You're a witness to attempted coercion." He sat back down. Elena looked from him to Mara, to me for the first time. The room did not bend toward her. The first formal, legal shadow had entered. It sat on the table between us in signed black ink. As we left, Ryan followed me into the hallway. Mara stayed, closed our phone in hand. Ryan lowered his voice. "You think you can take everything because you have documents?" "No." I stepped closer, just enough that he had to look up. "I think I can take back what was mine because you were stupid enough to leave." Fingerprints. His eyes hardened. "Elena will choose me. She already did." That confused him. I continued. "That's why she loses too." Behind him, Elena had heard every word. Her face looked like someone had opened a door under her feet. And when I walked away, she did not call my name. Not because she accepted it, that because she was finally beginning to understand that I was not trying to win her back. St. Gabriel's held its annual surgical innovation gala. For days after I filed for divorce, Elena tried to postpone it. The board refused. Too many donors had flown in. Too many cameras had been booked. Too many glossy programs had been printed with her face on page 1 and Ryan Bell's name listed as strategic research partner. My name appeared in small font under the ward foundation logo that used to be how I liked it. Quiet money, quiet support, quiet protection for the woman I loved. But quiet had become the space where Ryan stole and Elena excused. So that night, I came loud in the only way that mattered with documents. Mara arrived beside me in black. Marcus Holt came 10 minutes later. Priya came after him. Nervous but upright, Paul Marlowe stood near the bar, not avoiding his parents. Gerald and Cynthia sat near the front, with the stiff expressions of people who had not decided whether the scandal was real or merely inconvenient. Elena stood on stage in a dark blue gown, diamonds at her ears, a surgeon's posture in every line of her body. Ryan stood beside her. He looked healthy for a man who had been too fragile to pay for his own hotel. When he saw me, his smile sharpened. Elena followed his gaze, her hand tightened around the microphone. The program began with applause. Speeches, a video about innovation, and a montage of Elena saving lives. Then Ryan stepped to the podium. My recovery this week reminded me of something. He said, voice warm in practice. Medicine is not about ego. It is about sacrifice. I watched Elena close her eyes briefly. Moved by him, he continued. The Marlowe emergency pathway, which we will formally expand tonight, is proof of what happens when clinicians put patients above politics. Marlowe Bell. I looked at Mara. She gave a small nod. Ryan clicked to the next slide. A diagram appeared behind him. The emergency pathway, the triage flow, the donor-funded response model. My model, not mine as in money, Mine as in I had. Written the first version after my mother died waiting 40 minutes for a transfer approval between hospitals. Had spent 2 years building the protocol with Marcus Priya and a rural trauma coalition before Elena ever saw it. Ryan had changed the header. That was all he said. I developed this model after seeing gaps in crisis care during my early work with Elena. Marcus muttered beside me like hell. Ryan smiled at the crowd. Tonight, with Dr. Marlowe's support, I am proud to announce the Bell Initiative for Rapid Surgical Decision Making. The applause began. I stood not dramatically, that just enough. Mara handed a sealed packet to the event coordinator near the stage. The coordinator checked the instruction. Letter went pale and signaled the AV. Technician. Ryan kept speaking. 2. Often bureaucracy delays care. 2. Often personal feelings cloud urgent choices. The screen behind him changed. Not to his next slide. To the original 2018 protocol cover. Ward Holt emergency. Access model under were signatures. Mine Marcus Holt's Priya Shaw's 3. County hospital administrators know Ryan. Bell. The applause died in pieces. Ryan turned. His smile stayed for half a second too long. Then the screen. Advance again. Email from Ryan Bell to Elena Marlo. Subject rebranding problem. Ellie Ward's name can't stay on this if we want outside backing. He'll never. No, he hates public credit anyway. The room shifted, not gasped, shifted. Bodies leaned forward. Faces turned. Donors stopped sipping wine. Elena stared at the screen. Her lips parted. Ryan looked at the AV booth. Turn that off. It did not turn off. Mara had paid for independent event recording and obtained a temporary order requiring preservation of presentation materials. After Ryan's deleted group message, exposed potential donor, misrepresentation, the next slide appeared. Elena's reply, keep Nathan out of the naming. He won't care as long as patients benefit. I looked at her. She looked back for once. She had no operating room to hide in. Ryan gripped the podium. These are taken out of context. Marcus stood beside me. No, they're not. Heads turned toward him. He walked to the aisle, not the stage. I co-developed that model with Nathan Ward after his mother's death. Priya Shaw helped test the triage safeguards. Dr. Marlowe later implemented parts of it inside a stay. Gabriel's. Mr. Bell had no authorship. Roll. Ryan's face tightened. You're bitter because I improved it. Priya stood too that her voice shook at first, then steadied. You removed the safeguard, requiring independent triage review when a surgeon has a personal relationship with a patient. Silence hardened. That sentence did more than any emotional accusation could have. It tied the stolen model to the hallway. Elena took one step back from the podium. Gerald looked at her from the front table. Cynthia's hand rose to her necklace. Mara walked to the stage and handed Dennis Vale a folder. On behalf of the Ward Foundation Audit Committee, formal. Notice that all gala pledges tied to the Bell Initiative are suspended pending investigation. All use of Ward Foundation branding is revoked. Immediately, the foundation will not fund any program carrying misattributed authorship or compromised triage. Safeguards. Dennis looked like he had swallowed glass. That's $12 million. Someone at a donor table said, no, he said from the aisle, it was $12 million. The room heard me. Elena did too. Her eyes filled up, but no tears fell. Not yet. She still had pride holding them back. Ryan abandoned the podium and came down the steps toward me. You planned this. Yes, that you set us up. No, I let you present your own lie to the people, paying for it. His voice dropped. You're destroying patient care. Marcus answered before I could. Patient care is not a costume for fraud. Ryan looked at Elena. Say something. She stood at the edge of the stage that caught between the man she had saved and the evidence he had dragged her into. Ryan, she said, carefully, did you remove Nathan's name from the materials? He stared at her. That was answer enough. The gala did not collapse all at once. It unraveled with quiet efficiency. Donors asked for copies of the audit notice. Board members moved into corners with phones. Denispula de Lena Aside. Gerald left his table and walked straight past Ryan, without speaking to him. Cynthia sat, very still. Paul came to me. I'll testify about the guest house, he said. Elena saw him. That hurt her more than the donors. Ryan tried to follow her. Backstage, a security guard stopped him. Mr. Bell administration needs you to remain available for questions. Ryan looked at Elena. She did not rescue him. Not this time. My phone buzzed. Ward, Foundation Audit Committee, emergency, session approved, funding freeze, expanded, external forensic accountant, retained. Then another message from Mara, stage 1 public reversal, complete. Across the room, Elena stood, under the sidelights, no longer golden, no longer untouchable, that just a woman, watching $12 million. Her initiative, her family's certainty, and her ex's borrowed. Glory burn in the same clean flame. She found me near the exit. Nathan, that she said, that voice raw. I didn't know he had gone that far. I looked at the screen, still showing her email. Keep Nathan out of the naming. You knew. Enough. Her hand lifted toward me then. Stopped. She remembered the hospital. Cafe, the gate that the attorney noticed, the way my sleeve no longer belonged in her. Hand. Nate, that please don't leave like this. I glanced toward the stage. Ryan is waiting for you to save him again. She looked over. He was indeed watching. Her, that not with love, that with expectation. That was the difference she had mistaken for need. I walked out before she could choose. Behind me, that a donor asked Dennis whether street that Gabriel's intended to return misdirected funds voluntarily or wait for litigation. That was the first public rehearsal, and it was only the beginning. Elena came to my house too, nights after the gala, not through the gata. She parked outside and walked up the hill in heels unsuited for gravel, carrying a folder against her chest like it could protect her. Security called me. First, dear Marlowe is a pedestrian. Entrance. Is Ryan with her? No, sir. Let her approach the porch. Do not unlock the door. I watched her on the camera. She looked tired in a way surgery had never made her tired. Surgery made her sharp. Scandal made her human. She pressed the bell. I answered through the speaker. Send it to Mara. Her face lifted toward the camera. I'm not here about documents. Then you're at the wrong door. Nathan, please, 10 minutes. No, I didn't come to fight. You came because the fight stopped favoring you. She closed her eyes. When she opened them, there was moisture there. Old me would have opened the door. Old me would have given her tea, a blanket, a chair. Forgiveness disguised as conversation. New me watched the camera feed and waited. I made mistakes, she said. That is a small word for leaving a husband bleeding. Her lips trembled. I thought you were stable. I thought Ryan was dying. I thought I could fix it. Later, you did fix it. You wrote in email calling me volatile. I was scared of losing me. She looked down. There it was again. Her answer arrived before her. Words. I was scared of everything. Falling apart. Everything meaning. Career, donors, family. Ryan, Nathan. Not me. She hugged the folder tighter. I want to settle privately through Mara. I want to apologize privately. Apologies are for people who stopped doing the thing. I have stopped. Is Ryan still in your hospital network? He's suspended pending. Review. Is he still in your phone? Silence. Good night. Elena. Nate. Wait. I cut the speaker. She stood on the porch for 6 minutes. Then her phone. Hung. She answered even through the camera. I could see Ryan's name on the screen because she had not changed the contact photo. She looked toward my door. Once, then walked back down the drive. While talking to him, that same night, Ryan filed a police report. Mara called me at 11:20 p.m. Do not panic. I dislike sentences that begin like that. Ryan claims you threatened him outside the gala and shoved him near the service corridor, aggravating his surgical injury. I sat up. He what? He filed for harassment and assault. I never touched him. I know there were cameras. I know. Then why are you calling? Because he is trying to create leverage before the audit report lands. We move first thing in the morning at 8:30 a.m. I walked into the precinct with Mara, not dragged, not defensive walking. A detective named Alvarez met us in a small interview room. She had tired eyes and a careful voice. Mr. Ward at Mr. Bell claims there has been ongoing harassment linked to your divorce. Mara placed a folder on the table before my client. Answers questions. We are providing video from the gala hallway time-stamped, plus witness names and event security. Logs. Alvarez looked at the folder then. At me. You came prepared. Ryan is predictable. She watched the footage on a precinct monitor. There I was standing near the exit. Ryan approached. Ryan spoke. Ryan stepped into my space. I stepped back. Mara moved between us. Security approached. At no point did I touch him. Then another camera angle showed Ryan pressing his own hand against his incision before bending. Slightly as security arrived, Alvarez replayed that part once twice. Interesting that, she said. Mara slid over. Ryan's text. Back off before people. Learn what really happened before the crash. Alvarez read it. Her face changed. Do you believe Mr. Bell caused the crash intentionally? No, I said. I believe he knows something he does not. One investigated that, such as why he was driving near the hospital service entrance after texting my wife that I was threatening him. Why he had access to donor-funded accounts. Why he tried to create a narrative before anyone reviewed the records. Alvarez made notes. Did you threaten him? No. Did you harass him? No. Did you contact him after counsel instructed preservation? No. Mara added that Mr. Bell is contacted my client repeatedly. We have records. Alvarez leaned back. This may not go where Mr. Bell expects. It rarely does. Mara said. By noon, the precinct had declined to pursue Ryan's complaint based on the video. By 1:15, Mara filed a notice preserving the false report as evidence of retaliatory conduct. By 2000, that Elena called Mara. Mara put it on speaker with my permission. Elena's voice was strained. Mara, I need to speak to Nathan. He is present. Communication remains through counsel. Nathan, did you go to the police? I did. Not answer. Mara said that Mr. Bell filed a report. We responded with evidence. Elena inhaled sharply. Ryan said they called him in for clarification. He just had surgery. He also just made a false allegation. That's not fair. He was scared. I leaned toward the phone. Elena, how many crimes does fear? Excuse when Ryan is the one afraid? Silence and softer. He said you cornered him. He lied. I don't know what to believe anymore. That is your problem. Her breath shook. No, it's our problem. No, our problem was marriage. That is ending. Your problem is the man. You protected. She said nothing for so long. I thought she had hung up. Then she whispered that if he lied about this, that I finished for her. What else did he lie about? Mara ended the call after, instructing her to communicate formally. That evening, Ryan tried again. This time not with police, with pity he posted online from his hospital bed. Some people punish you for surviving. I'm grateful for the doctors who choose life over ego. He did not name me. He did not need to. Comments flooded in from hospital staff. Elena's friends and people who loved a wounded man's story. Then Paul Marlowe commented, were you choosing life when you sat in Nathan's chair 2 days after he was left? Bleeding in the hall? The post slowed. Then Priya commented that I charted what happened. Please do not turn patient safety into drama. Then Marcus, false. Narratives harm real patients. By midnight, Ryan deleted the post. By morning, screenshots had reached the hospital review committee. Elena sent no messages at day. But at 3:00 p.m., received a copy of the temporary order. From the court, Elena was restrained from transferring marital funds. Ryan was barred from using any account connected to me.my foundation. Or my property. The judge ordered preservation of all communications involving Ryan, Elena. And disputed funds. And the next sentence mattered most. The court fined sufficient preliminary concern regarding unauthorized use of marital and foundation related resources to warrant expedited financial disclosure. Mara read it aloud in her office. Expedited disclosure. She said that means they don't get to hide. Behind time, I signed the acknowledgement outside the window. Traffic moved like nothing had changed, but everything had. Ryan's lie had brought police attention. Elena's silence had brought court scrutiny. And my wife, who once believed every crisis could be managed if she stayed calm, enough that was about to learn that calm did not erase records. That night, the audit committee found a first forged invoice. It had Elena's departmental approval and Ryan's bank information. My mother's name was carved into the east wing of St. Gabriel's. Not mine. Lillian, Ward Trauma Access Center. I had asked for it after she died. She had not died because doctors lacked skill. She died because systems failed slowly while everyone responsible had a reasonable explanation. No BD. NO approval. NO transport authorization. NO specialist available. NO one person guilty enough to blame. That was why I funded systems, not statues. Elena knew that. Ryan knew. The money, only one of them understood. The grief behind it. The morning after, the forged invoice surfaced street. Gabriel's board requested an emergency donor meeting. Mara advised me to attend, not to negotiate, that she said to define boundaries. The meeting took place inside the Lillian Ward Center in a conference room overlooking the ambulance bay. Elena was already there when I arrived. So were Dennis Vale, the board chair, point two hospital attorneys, the chief compliance officer, Marcus, and the foundation's forensic accountant. Tessingwin. Ryan was not there. His absence filled the room anyway. Elena looked at me once her eyes moved to the bandage still visible under my collar, then away at the board chair. Patricia Sloan opened with the careful tone of someone standing near a gas leak. Mr. Ward, we appreciate your willingness to meet. I'm here to protect my mother's name. Elena flinched. Good. Some words should hurt. Patricia folded her hands. The board recognizes serious concerns regarding authorship, donor fund usage, and the incident in the emergency department. We have placed Mr. Bell's consulting access on hold, pending investigation. I looked at Tessa. She opened her folder. With respect, Chair Sloan to preliminary. Financial review shows more than access. Concerns. We identified 9 invoices. From Bell Clinical Strategy LLC charged to restricted grant support. 6 lakh. Deliverables. 2 used duplicated. Descriptions from prior legitimate. Vendors. 1 appears tied to personal. Expense. Dennis looked ill. Elena started. At the table, Mara asked in approvals. Tessa looked at Elena. Approved through Dr. Marlowe's department. Elena sat straighter. My admin handles routine. Processing. Tessa nodded. That may be. But 3 approvals included notes from your account indicating direct urgency. Elena's mouth opened. No sound came. Mara slid a printed page toward her. Elena read it. Her fingers curled at the edge. The note said, push this through. For Ryan. Nathan doesn't need to see. Small items. Small items. $48,000. Elena whispered that I didn't write this. The room sharpened. I watched her face. Carefully. For once that I believed her. Not because she was innocent. Because she looked offended in the precise way people look when their own weapon is used against them. Tessa said then, someone used your credentials. Elena's eyes lifted, not to me, to the empty chair where Ryan should have been. There. It was that a new crack. Mara spoke calmly. We will need device logs. The hospital. Attorney nodded. We're already pulling them. Patricia turned to me. Mr. Ward, what is the Foundation's position? I opened the folder I had brought. The Ward Foundation is withdrawing all discretionary support from Dr. Marlowe's department pending completion of external review, restricted patient care. Funds will be transferred to an independent administrator so patients are not harmed. The Bell Initiative name is prohibited. The original Ward hold may continue only under independent oversight. Elena looked up sharply. You're removing me. I'm removing. Conflict. This is my department. This is my mother's wing. The room absorbed. That. No one corrected me. Elena's voice dropped. I built the surgical program. You helped build it with my funding. Marcus Protocol. Priya's implementation. Work. And a staff. You let Ryan walk. Over her cheeks colored. Patricia cleared her throat. Dr. Marlowe will be placed on administrative review for the triage incident and funding. Irregularities. Temporary reduction in leadership authority may be necessary. Elena turned to her. Patricia. IT is not optional. A month earlier, those words would have been unthinkable. Elena Marlowe did not lose authority. She gained it. She entered rooms and people moved. Now, she was sitting under my mother's name, while other people decided what she could no longer touch. My phone buzzed. Paul Marlowe. Dad is furious at Ryan. Mom is crying. Elena told them she didn't know about the invoices. Do you believe her? I typed. Not fully. Not enough to matter because that was the truth. Maybe Ryan forged notes. Maybe Elena did not approve every charge. But she had created the environment where Ryan could reach the accounts that use her authority and hide behind her affection. Negligence with a wedding ring was still betrayal. After the meeting, Elena followed me into the hallway. Nathan. I kept walking. Nathan to stop. I stopped. Beside the donor wall, my mother's photo was there. That small, that elegant, that smiling like she still believed hospitals were safe places. Elena stopped at 2. Her voice softened. I didn't know about the forged invoices. You knew he was using my accounts. I thought it was temporary. You knew he wanted my name off the protocol. She closed her eyes. Yes, that one word landed clean. No excuse. No for patience. No, you don't understand. Just, yes. Why? She looked toward my mother's Photo then at me because he said every time your name was in the room, he felt like nothing. And you fix that by making me nothing. Her face twisted. Nate, that I thought you didn't care about. Credit. I didn't care about applause. I cared about truth. She swallowed. I was wrong. Yes, that I am trying to say that. No, you are trying to say it before the audit says more. Her eyes reamed. I came to your house and answered Ryan's call. On my porch, the color drained from her face. You saw that? I see a lot now. She pressed a hand to her mouth. Then dropped it. He said he was panicking. He is always panicking when consequences arrive. I know that now. No, you suspect it now. You'll know it when he blames you. She looked at me as if I had said something cruel. I had said something accurate. At 5 o'clock p.m., the hospital disabled Ryan's badge permanently. At 5:22, the donor relations office removed his name from all event pages. At 6, 3 major donors requested updated grant terms excluding Elena's direct control until review concluded. At 6:40, Gerald Marlowe called me, this time that his voice was smaller. Nathan, I owe you an apology. You owe your daughter honesty. I thought you were punishing her. I am holding her accountable. He was quiet. Then he said, Ryan asked me for money. Today, I looked out at the driveway. How much? 200,000, said legal fees. Said, Elena would repay me after things calm down. Did you give it to him? No. Good. He told Cynthia you were trying to bankrupt the family. He tells people what scares the most. Gerald breathed heavily. I misjudged you. Yes, I'm sorry. I accept the apology. It changes nothing. I understand. I ended the call without satisfaction. Apologies were not currency. They could not buy back a hallway. That night, Elena tried to enter her hospital office. Her badge still opened the building, but not the department finance suite. The access log came to me through discovery 2 weeks later. At 7:13 p.m., badge denied. At 7:14, badge denied. At 7:15, badge denied. A camera caught her standing in front of the door, staring at the red light. That image stayed with me, not because I enjoyed it, because it showed the exact moment she learned what I had learned in the hallway. Access can vanish while you are still reaching for the door. Ryan Bell disappeared for 26 hours. Not legally, not dramatically. He simply stopped answering calls, left his recovery facility, and checked out of the cheap hotel Elena had paid for with her own card after mine stopped working. Elena called him 14 times. We knew because Discovery later produced her call log. 14 calls, 0.3 voicemails. 1 text. Ryan, please tell me you did not use my credentials. Then another, if you lied to me about the invoices, need to know now. Then the one that mattered. I defended you to Nathan. Ryan did not answer that either. He was busy at 9:30. The next morning, Sanguine sent in urgent update to Mara, the hospital, compliance office in the foundation, audit committee, subject, Bell Clinical, strategy material findings. Mara called me into her office. Sit down. I prefer standing, Nathan. I sat. She placed the report in front of me. It was not one forged invoice. It was a pattern. Restricted grant funds routed through Bell Clinical Strategy payments for rural implementation consulting. On dates, Ryan was in Miami. A laptop purchased under patient outreach. Equipment and shipped to his condo. 2. Wire transfers to a shell vendor. Registered to Ryan's cousin. A. Reimbursement request with my digital signature attached, not a scan. A copied Signature lifted from an old donor. Authorization letter. My stomach went cold. Mara, watch me. This becomes criminal referral territory. Do it. Already drafted. I turn another page. There were messages. Ryan to Elena. I can't keep begging Nathan's people for every little approval. Just let me run. The bridge. Elena to Ryan. Stay under. Threshold. I don't want finance asking questions before the gala. I read that line twice. There it was. She may not have forged every charge, but she knew enough. Stay under threshold. Not don't. Do it. Not ask Nathan. Not this is wrong. Stay under threshold. Mara said quietly that I'm sorry. I kept reading Ryan. To Elena, once the Bell Initiative launches, Ward can't pull back without looking like he hates patience. Elena, don't underestimate him. He is patient until he isn't. Ryan, then keep him patient. That one almost made me laugh. Almost. Elena had kept me patient for years with the oldest tools in marriage. A tired smile, a hand on my shoulder. A promise that Ryan was complicated, but harmless. A reminder that I was strong enough not to be insecure. Strong enough. That was what people called you when they wanted you to tolerate disrespect without complaint. At 10 p.m., Mara filed the criminal referral packet with the Financial Crimes Unit at 130 Street. Gabriel suspended Ryan's consulting contract for cause. At 2000, the foundation demanded return of disputed funds. At 2:15, the hospital notified Elena that she was being placed on administrative leave pending investigation into credential misuse, conflict of interest and donor fund approvals. She called me at 217. I did not answer. She called Mara at 219. Mara answered on speaker. Elena sounded. Endika herself. Nathan, need to talk to. You, Mara said that doctor. Marlowe, that this line is for legal communication. He's there. No, he's there. I said nothing. Elena's breath shook. Ryan is gone. Mara looked at me. I remained still. He emptied the recovery apartment. Elena continued. His phone is off. The hospital suspended me. They think I helped him steal. Mara said, did you? No. Then a pause. I don't know. That was the first honest answer she had given since the crash. I knew he was routing things. I thought it was paperwork. I thought once the initiative launched, the IT would all normalize. Mara's voice stayed neutral. You approve staying under threshold. Elena went silent, then very softly. Yes. Mara wrote one word on her pad. Admission. Elena whispered. Nathan. I was trying to protect the program. I leaned close enough to the phone. You were trying to protect Ryan from scrutiny. She made a small broken sound. I thought he needed one win. He took mine. I know. No. He took my money.my. Protocol.my house access.my family. See, that my mother's name. And when I bled in front of you, he took your hands. 2. Her breathing changed. Nate, Dio not. Use my name like it is a door. Mara ended the call. At 4:00 p.m., police found Ryan at a private airport lounge. Not fleeing the country. Not yet. Just trying to board a charter flight to Nassau with one carry-on and $78,000 spread across 3 accounts he had, open under his LLC. He had not been arrested then. But he was detained for questioning after the financial crimes. Referral and suspicious transfer alert. Hit. Elena found out from Dennis. Not from Ryan. She went to the precinct. So did I. Not for her. For my statement. The waiting area was ugly and bright. Plastic chairs. Vending machine. A tired father arguing softly with a teenager. A Television mounted too, high on the wall. Elena sat near the corner in a wrinkled coat, no makeup. No authority. When she saw me as she stood, Nathan, Mara, stepped slightly in front of me. Elena noticed her face folded around that small barrier. I'm not going to touch him. She said. No marari, please. You're not. A door opened. Ryan came out with Detective Alvarez. He looked smaller, without hospital blankets. Podium. Lights or Elena's hand on his arm. His eyes found her first. Ellie, she took one step toward him. Then stopped. Alvarez said that MR, Bell. Your counsel, has been notified. Do not leave the jurisdiction. Ryan nodded quickly. Elena stared at him. Did you use my Luckin? He looked around the waiting room. Elena, not here, did you? He lowered his voice. You told me to keep things moving. Her face went white. I told you to stay under threshold. I didn't tell you to forge Nathan's signature. Ryan's eyes flashed. Mara's pen moved. Detective Alvarez looked over. 2. Ryan realized what he had done. I mean that came out wrong. Elena, step back. You forged his signature. Ryan's mask cracked. Don't act innocent. You wanted the initiative. You wanted Nathan's name off it. You wanted me back in your life because he made you feel like a funded employee in your own or Elena flinched as if slapped. I did not move. Ryan kept going to panic. Stripping him down to truth. You said he would never leave. You said he always came around. You said he loved you too much to make it ugly. The room seemed to narrow around Elena, not because everyone was watching, because the words had nowhere to hide. She looked at me. I looked back. I said, nothing. Ryan pointed at her. She approved the bridge. She knew. Elena whispered, I protected you. Ryan laughed. Once, ugly and thin, you protected yourself. That was the moment the third party fully flipped. Not in a boardroom, not on a stage that in a precinct waiting. Area under fluorescent lights where the man Elena had chosen over me used her as a shield before the ink on his statement. Dry, Detective Alvarez said, Dear Marlowe will need to speak with you. Separately, Elena did not seem to hear. Her eyes were on Ryan. For the first time, she saw him without the story she had built. Not wounded, not brilliant, not the one who got away, just a man, cornered by records and willing to bite. The hand that had held him above everyone else. Mara touched my sleeve. Lightly, we're done here. As we walked out, Elena called after me. Nathan, wait, please. I did not stop. Behind me, Detective Alvarez repeated her name. De Marlo. This time, there was no door for her to walk through, only an interview room and consequences waiting on the other side. The divorce settlement conference was scheduled for 8:00 a.m. dawn again. That felt appropriate. Elena arrived early with her attorney, a polished man named Victor Cian, who looked as if he had been hired to keep disasters expensive. She wore a black suit, no jewelry except her wedding ring. I noticed because she made sure I could. It stayed on her finger like an argument. I arrived with Mara, the banker's box of documents, and no ring. Elena saw my bare hand. Her face did something small and painful. Good, not because pain repaired anything, because truth should be visible. The conference room at the courthouse had beige walls along table and a window facing an alley. No, one could mistake it for a romance that was useful. Victor opened with dignity. Dr. Marlowe is prepared to resolve this matter privately. She recognizes mistakes were made under stress. She is willing to apologize and propose a generous division of marital assets. Mara looked at him. Generous with whose assets? Victor adjusted his pen. Elena stared at the table. He continued, the marital estate includes shared accounts, lifestyle assets. And certain appreciation connected to Dr. Marlowe's career growth during the marriage. Mara opened the first folder. The marital estate also includes unauthorized transfers. Potential reimbursements. Oh, that disputed charges connected to Mr. Bell. And the financial impact of Dr. Marlowe's use of marital funds for a third party. Victor's jaw tightened. Those issues are unproven. Mara slid over the audit summary. Some are documented. Some are under investigation. All are discoverable. Elena's hand moved toward the report, then stopped. She knew that movement now halfway reaching. No, access, Victor said. Let us not conflate the divorce with the hospital investigation. I leaned back. They were conflated when my wife's ex used my money. MY protocol in my home while she told me I was jealous. Elena closed her eyes. Victor said at MR, wore out emotional statements will not help us. Mara smiled slightly. Then you'll appreciate the spreadsheets. For the next hour, Mara turned my marriage into columns. Mortgage, payments. Household account deposits, credit card charges, Ryan link, transfers. Foundation, misuse claims, vehicle leases. Travel expenses. Guest, house cost. Legal exposure. The numbers did what emotions could not. They removed tone. They removed excuses. They showed a pattern with dates. Elena's attorney stopped. Interrupting. After page 6. Elena said nothing until Mara reached the hospital night. Then she lifted her head. I did not know Nathan was that injured. I looked at her. You saw blood on my shirt. I thought the nurse would. You told the nurse I could. Wait, I was wrong. Yes, she swallowed. I have said that. No, you have said it now. That people are recording. Her eyes filled. Victor touched her arm. Hélène, she pulled away. I need to say this. Mara said, Pros. Elena looked directly at me. I chose Ryan in that. Hall, I chose him because I thought he was dying, because I thought you were strong, because I thought you would understand later, because I had spent months letting him make me feel responsible for him. None of that excuses it. The room was quiet. She continued. I let him into our home. I let him use your resources. I let him take credit because I told myself you didn't need credit. I made your love into permission for the first time that she had described it correctly. Not jealousy, not misunderstanding. Permission. I asked. And what do you want for saying that? Her tears finally spilled. Nothing. I waited. She whispered. No, that's not true. I want you to look at me like I'm still the woman you married. I looked at her carefully, fully. I can't. Her shoulders dropped. Victor tried to regain the room. Dear Marlowe is willing to waive claim to the residence if Mr. Ward withdraws foundation-related civil claims tied to marital conduct. Mara's voice sharpened. No, Victor said that we are negotiating. No, I said, you are offering me my own house in exchange for silence. Elena turned to Victor. Stop. He frowned. Elena, he said, stop. Then her phone buzzed. She looked down. Her face changed. Victor said that Dio not answer. She answered, not on speaker, but Ryan's voice carried. Ellie, they're trying to pin everything on me. You need to tell them we had approval. You need to say Nathan knew. Elena froze. Victor reached for the phone. She moved it away. Ryan kept talking. You owed me. I came back because of you. You said he'd cover it if it got messy. You said he always paid to keep your life clean. Elena's eyes lifted to mine. Dawn came back. The hospital cafe. The signed petition. Her fingers. Hovering over the envelope. The woman, who thought I was making a decision, after trauma now heard her ex describe the exact marriage she had used. You, said he always paid. Mara quietly placed her phone on the table. Recording. Victor whispered. Hang up. Ryan said, if I go down, I'm not going alone. Elena ended the call. No one spoke. Then, Mara said that we'll request preservation. Of that call, Victor rubbed both hands over his face. Elena stared at her wedding ring. Slowly, she pulled it off. She placed it on the table between us. I did not touch it, she said. What are your terms? Mara answered. Full cooperation in the financial investigation. No claim to the house. Repayment from Dr. Marlowe separate. Assets for verified marital funds used. For Mr. Bell, written acknowledgement that Mr. Ward did not harass that assault or financially retaliate against a patient. Withdrawal of the defamatory. Donor conduct claim attorney only. Contact agreement to expedite a divorce. Proceedings were legally available. No. Public statements without counsel. Review. Victor looked offended. That is severe. I said it is less severe than discovery. Elena stared at the ring. What happens to Ryan? Mara said, that is up to law enforcement. The hospital. The foundation. And anyone he defrauded. Elena whispered. And me? I answered. You become honest or you become his co-defendant in every room he runs into. She looked at me then. No. Pride left at no performance, just a woman. Finally seeing the shape of the whole. I lost you, she said. No jutradid. Me. Her hand shook. This time that I let the silence work. At 10:12 a.m., Elena signed the preliminary settlement. Framework. At 10:19, Victor sent notice. Withdrawing the donor misconduct. Accusation. At 10:31, Elena provided written consent for forensic review of her devices related to Ryan's access. At 10:44, she agreed not to contact me directly. When she stood to leave, she forgot the ring. On the table, Victor noticed and reached for it. Elena stopped him. Leave it. After they left, Mara looked at the ring. Do you want it? No. What should I do with it? Log it as property. As evidence. Because that was all it was. Now, a circle of metal from a contract she broke in every way that mattered. Before the court ever saw a paper, the hearing for temporary orders lasted 47 minutes. That was all it took to make consequences official. Elena sat with Victor at one table. Ryan sat behind a separate attorney at another because by then the foundation had filed civil claims against him and law enforcement had opened a formal financial investigation. He did not look at Elena. She looked at him once, only once. The judge reviewed the filings with the tired precision of someone who had seen every kind of betrayal and stopped being surprised. Mr. Ward seeks exclusive use of the residence. Continued asset restraint. Reimbursement accounting. And attorney communication. Dr. Marlowe contests the scope of reimbursement, but not exclusive residence. Correct. Victor stood. Correct. Your Honor, the judge looked at Ryan's attorney. Mr. Bell's counsel is present regarding the protective financial order. Yes, Your Honor. We object to the characterization of certain transfers as improper. Mara stood. We have bank records. Device logs, invoice duplication. And a copied donor signature characterization is no longer the problem. Ryan stared at the table. The judge turned a page. Dr. Marlowe. Did you approve communications instructing Mr. Bell to stay under financial review thresholds? Elena stood. Her voice was quiet. Yes, Your Honor. Victor's shoulders tightened. The judge looked over his glasses. Were you aware MR Ward had not authorized certain expenditures? I did not verify. Authorization. That is not an answer. Elena swallowed at the time that I avoided. Verifying it. That was better than any. Apology. Truth under oath. Mara did not. Smile. I did not move. The judge made. Notes. Temporary orders granted. Exclusive residence to Mr. Ward. Mutual. Non-disparagement pending further order. Dr. Marlowe prohibited from transferring, concealing or encumbering marital assets. Reimbursement accounting. Expedited. Counsel-only communication. Remains disputed transfers preserved for. Civil proceedings. The court notes. Potential overlap with external investigations and will not interfere. Gavel done. Elena's marriage leverage ended in less than an hour. Outside the courtroom that her phone rang. She looked at the screen and did not answer. Ryan, he walked toward her anyway. Elena that we need to coordinate. She looked at him like he was speaking from very far away. No, his face tightened. Don't do this here. Do what? Pretend you weren't part of it. Her eyes sharpened for the first time in days. I was part of trusting you. I was part protecting you. I was part of being arrogant enough to think Nathan would absorb the damage but I did not forge his signature. Ryan leaned closer. You think that distinction saves you? Mara touched my arm. We both stopped, walking because this was useful. Elena said that, no, I think it damns you. Ryan laughed. You're choosing him now after all this. She looked at me. I gave her nothing. No rescued, and oh warmth that no shared. Enemy. Her face tightened with the realization. I'm choosing the truth, she said. Ryan's mouth twisted. You're choosing whatever keeps your license. Elena Flinkid. He had aimed well. Then he turned to me. You happy you got your revenge? No, that made him pause. I stepped closer. I got records. Revenge is what guilty people call accountability when it reaches them. His attorney pulled him back. Ryan stopped talking. Good advice. Too late. By afternoon, St. Gabriel's issued internal notice. Dr. Elena Marlowe was removed from department leadership pending completion of review. Not fired. Not yet, but stripped of authority. Her name disappeared from the surgical innovation page. Ryan's profile disappeared entirely. The Bell Initiative page. Return of 404 error. At 500 p.m., the State Medical Board acknowledged the complaint and open preliminary review at 5:30 that the Foundation filed for recovery of disputed funds. At 600, the hospitals. Compliance officer sent notice requiring Elena to surrender her department finance devices for imaging. At 6:12, she tried to call me. The call routed to Mara's office. I know because Mara forwarded the voicemail transcript. Elena's voice. I understand. I'm not supposed to call. I'm sorry. I just wanted to hear him once. Please tell him. I know there is no excuse. Please tell him I finally understand the hallway. Mara asked if I wanted to respond. I said no. Understanding. Did not reopen. Doors. 2 days later, Elena came to the house for a scheduled property. Retrieval. Security. Mara's assistant. And an inventory clerk were present. I stayed in the study, not hiding, choosing not to perform pain for her. From the camera feed, I watched her walk through the room she once ruled without thinking, the living room where she had taken calls from Ryan while I cooked dinner, the kitchen where she had told me I was being insecure, the guest room where Ryan had slept, the hallway where our wedding photo no longer hung. She stopped in front of that empty rectangle. On the wall, Her shoulders shook once. Then she kept moving. The inventory. Clerk handed her boxes. Medical. Journals, a closed, a framed diploma, a set of knives she had bought in Kyoto. She asked, "Where's a blue mug?" The clerk checked the list. Disposed. Elena closed her eyes. The blue mug had been Ryan's. Good. Some things did not deserve storage. When she reached the study door, she stopped. I could see only half her face on camera. "Nathan," she said softly. Mara's assistant replied, "Mr. Ward is not available." I know he's there. No one answered. She stood there for a long moment. Then she placed something on the small table outside the study. Her hospital badge, not surrendered to me, just left there like a dead leaf. "I don't know who I am. Without that place," she whispered. I almost answered, almost. Then I remembered her voice in the ER. "He can wait." I let the silence answer. She left at 3:40 p.m. At 45, Ryan was arrested on charges tied to fraud, forged authorization, and attempted financial concealment. At 4:22, news reached Elena. At 4:31, she called Mara again. This time she was not asking for me. She was asking whether cooperation could reduce her exposure. That was the final turn. Not love, not grief, survival. She had finally reached the place Ryan reached first, looking for the least painful way not to drown. Mara told her to speak through her own attorney. That evening, I sat alone in my study with the hospital badge on the table. The plastic card still showed Elena smiling in her white coat. De Elena Marlo, Chief of Surgery. The title was already outdated. I placed it in an evidence bag, not because I needed it legally, because I needed the reminder. Some people do not lose themselves all at once. They trade one piece at a time and call it compassion until the bill arrives. The next morning, Elena's attorney sent revised settlement terms. Full concession on the house. Full reimbursement accounting. Written correction to the hospital board. No direct contact. Expedited divorce. She had no terms left. Only signatures. The divorce became final on a Thursday morning in a courtroom smaller than the waiting room where Ryan had betrayed Ellen. There was no shouting. No dramatic collapse. No last embrace. Just a judge, two attorneys, a clerk, and the clean sound of a legal bond being cut. Elena stood when the judge asked if she understood the agreement. "Yes, Your Honor." Her voice was steady. That surprised me. Then again, Elena had always been steady when a blade was involved. The final order was clear. I kept the house. She waived any claim to the Ward Foundation, the Lillian Ward Center funding structure. And all donor related assets. She accepted responsibility for reimbursing marital funds used for Ryan's personal benefit, subject to final accounting. She withdrew her accusation that I had acted out of donor instability. She agreed not to contact me directly. She accepted that all future communication would go through counsel. The judge signed. The clerk stamped a marriage of 10 years. Ended with paper sliding into a file. Elena did not cry in court. She cried in the hallway. I knew because I heard her before I saw her. Not loud, not theatrical. A single broken breath near the window. Mara looked at me. I shook my head. We walked past. Elena turned. "Nathan." Mara stopped. "Dear Marlo, it's okay," I said. Mara stepped aside, but not far. Elena held a folder against her chest. Her left hand was bare. So was Mine. "I won't ask you to come back," she said. Good. The word hit her, but she took it. "I know I don't have the right No, I wanted to tell you what happened. I know what happened. After I waited, she looked toward the elevators. St. Gabriel's offer me a restricted clinical role after the review. No, leadership. No finance authority. No research control. Supervised practice. For a year, the board report says. I exercise poor judgment that failed to disclose conflicts and enabled misuse of donor funds that covered career. Collapse. Not total destruction. Worse. For Elena. A surgeon who had lived on. Authority that now had to work under. Oversight in the building where everyone knew why. The medical board. I asked. Formal reprimand. Mandatory ethics. Program. Monitoring. If anything else. Surfaces. Suspension. Ryan Dashi. Swallowed. He took a plea agreement on. The financial charges. Restitution. Probation. Likely maybe. Confinement depending on sentencing. The foundation civil claim will follow him for years. Good. Her mouth trembled. He tried to say I planned everything. Of course he did. I remembered what you said. What? That he would blame me. I said nothing. She looked down. My parents sold the lake house to cover part of the loan after you withdrew the guarantee. My father doesn't speak to Ryan's family. My mother stopped wearing the bracelet Ryan gave her at the gala. There was no satisfaction in that. Only accounting. Name. Assets. Family. Career. All damage in ways that matched. The choices. Elena continued. Most of our friends stopped calling. The ones who call only ask if the rumors are true. At the hospital. People lower their voices when I enter rooms. She gave a small, humorless smile. I used to think silence meant respect. I looked at her. Sometimes it means evidence. She nodded once. A tear slipped down her cheek. I deserve that. I did not comfort her. She wiped at herself. That mattered. I went back to the hallway. She said, "My body went still at street. Gabriel's 2 nights ago after my shift. I stood where you sat. The floor has been cleaned 1,000 times. There was nothing there, but I kept seeing you." Her voice thinned. I kept hearing myself say you could wait. The elevator doors opened behind her. A young resident stepped out. Saw Elena. And quickly looked away. There it was. Name. Collapsed. Not gossip alone. Recognition. She had become a cautionary story in the hospital she once commanded. Elena saw it too. Her shoulders tightened. I wanted to save Ryan because once years ago he made me feel chosen when I was nobody. Then you loved me when I became somebody. I confused debt with love, and love was something that would always wait. I said I did wait. I know. Then I bled. Her eyes closed and she opened them. The last of her hope was gone. Not because I had been cruel, because I had been clear. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know. Do you forgive me?" No. She nodded like she had expected it, maybe wanted it. A clean refusal is easier to survive than false hope. Will you ever? I don't know. But forgiveness would not change the outcome. She breathed through that. Are you happy? I thought about the house. The empty wall to study without her. Footsteps. My mother's name restored on. The protocol. Patients still funded. Through independent administrators. Marcus leading the emergency safeguard. Review. Priya promoted to safety. Implementation director Ryan facing. Sentencing. Elena standing in front of me without excuses. Happy was not the word. Freed out, I said. That hurt her most. She pressed a folder to her chest. I hope you stay that way. Then she walked to the elevator. This time she did not look back. Ryan's sentencing happened 6 weeks later. He avoided a long prison term because financial crimes move through gray rooms and negotiated penalties, not dramatic endings. But he did not walk away clean. Restitution. probation, a suspended sentence hanging. Over him, civil liability, professional, blacklisting, his consulting LLC, dissolved, his medical strategy career, ended. Hospitals stopped taking his calls. The man who once sat in my chair became a name whispered in compliance. Trainings, do not be the Bell case. That was his legacy. Elena's consequences lasted longer. She sold her condo downtown to cover reimbursements and legal fees. She lost her department chair. She lost owner access. She lost the Marlowe family's unquestioned pride. Gerald, who had once ordered me to attend dinner, sent a handwritten apology I never answered. Cynthia sent a box of my old holiday gifts Elena had kept at their house. I donated most of it. Paul testified in the civil case and later texted me once, "You deserved better from all of us." I replied, "Yes, nothing more." The house became quiet in a different way. At first, the silence felt like damage. Then it became space. I took down the remaining wedding photos that repaired the wall where the largest frame had hung. I replaced Ryan's guest room mattress. I changed the study locks, then realized I no longer needed to lock anything inside my own home. The Ward Foundation completed its restructuring. No department head could approve funds tied to a personal relationship. No emergency pathway could remove independent triage review. No donor program could be renamed without authorship verification. The protocol returned to its original name, Ward Holt. Emergency access model. I added Priya's name. 2. She had earned it at the dedication ceremony for the revised program. Marcus stood beside me under my mother's photo. "You okay?" he asked. No, he nodded. "Better?" "Yes, that's enough for now." He was right. Across the lobby. I saw Elena. She had been allowed to attend as staff. Not as leadership. No podium, no speech, no diamonds, just a white coat. A badge. Without chief. And a face that carried the cost of being alive after your own choices. She did not approach me. That was the first respectful thing she had done in months. When the ceremony ended, I walked past the emergency hallway. The tile gleamed, the doors opened and closed. Patients came in. Doctors moved fast. Life continued with brutal indifference. I stopped near the spot where I had sat bleeding for a moment. I could still feel the pressure of my hand against my side, the cold wall behind my shoulders. Ryan's smile under the oxygen mask. Elena's voice cutting through the hall. "He can wait." She had been wrong. I did not wait. I recorded. I signed. I filed. I cut off access. I let evidence speak where love had been used against me. That was why I would never go back. Not because I hated her forever. Hate is still a form of attachment. I simply understood the marriage clearly. Now, Elena had not lost me in one emergency. She lost me every time she called my pain strength. Every time she made my patience a resource. Every time she let another man spend my money. Sit in my chair where my role and call it need. The hallway only made it visible. At dawn. I signed the papers. Months later, the court stamped them, but the real divorce happened in the seconds after. She looked at my blood and walked through the doors for Ryan. That was the choice. Everything after was consequence. I stepped out of street. Gabriel's into clear morning light with no ring, no waiting calls from Elena, no shared accounts at NO guest codes at NO. Apologies left the process. My phone buzzed. A message from Mara. Final. Reimbursement received. Case file closed. Accept Ryan's civil enforcement. I typed, "Good." Then I put the phone away and walked to my car. Behind me stood the Hospital where my wife had chosen her. X. Behind me stood the family that had misjudged me. Behind me stood the man who had tried to steal my place and ended up buried under his own invoices. Ahead of me was not romance, that not revenge, that not a new woman waiting to heal. Me, just my own life. Return to my hands, that was enough. I drove away before the morning shift changed. This time that no one made me wait.